When a player's young, suddenly got a contract, suddenly got so much money, you've got all these kind of sharks around you that want some of that money.
He goes, I want this car, but can you do me a favour? And I was like, he goes, can you up the invoice by 25 grand? He goes, he's a friend of mine, but can you just up the invoice by 25 grand for me, please?
And today we are talking about our football clientele.
That is superb! Off it's a heart!
There was a footballer who bought a car from another dealer and his engine blew.
No way. I love when George has to help somebody spec their car.
Oh, I love it.
It's just the best.
Also sprayed his controllers in Crystal Palace colours.
I didn't even know you could add a PlayStation in there until I asked you, to be honest.
Harry Kane messaged him, said, love to do business, blah, blah, blah.
He blocked you.
I'm surprised he didn't, because I've looked back to the message recently and I was like, that is so weird. I can't believe I messaged like that.
But did you say I love you at the end?
I did. I said, love from your biggest fan.
XXX.
3 X's and a picture of myself.
Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the GVE London podcast. And today we are talking about our football clientele. So today I've got James, our social media manager, with us today as well, and George and Anthony. This is a episode that I've been wanting to do for some time. Actually, we've got a lot of footballing clients that we've been building up over the years, haven't we?
Yeah. I think early on in the business, it was always a case of it'd be a dream to try and cater to all of the Premier League footballers, and how do we get into this crowd to be known as the Supercar suppliers for footballers. And slowly but surely, I think we're pretty much getting there. We've dealt with some proper A-lister Premier League footballers. I mean, one of the most well-known England football captains, John Terry, you've dealt with as well. So still a long way to go, but it's been a really cool journey and some wacky stories to go with it.
Because it's quite an exclusive club, right? To get in as a dealership to start dealing with that sort of clientele.
A lot of these guys actually, they have their agents who help supply cars to them. So they end up getting VIP deals. And it's almost impossible to compete with VIP deals because it's almost manufacturers giving their cars away. Let's say, for example, Mercedes giving away G63s for almost free just because they get to be seen driving their cars. So actually a footballer driving something like a G63 will then drive up the revenue for Mercedes because people want to buy those cars as well.
But I think from what I know, in the recent times where demand's gone nuts for these cars, even the manufacturers have turned around and said, okay, sorry, you can't get those deals anymore. And I thought, okay, maybe Merc doing it on G63, that's kind of normal. You know, they can't produce enough of them, so they're not going to give any more special deals. But actually, it's even the likes of Audi that are not giving those crazy deals that they used to do before.
There's a thing, right, where you join the football club and you got given this sort of gift. Like you walk into your house and you've got all these gifts there and you can choose your Audi from a catalogue.
Oh, that's right.
Well, it's gone now.
There's
days, right?
I don't know if any of you have read the Zlatan book, but when he was playing for Barcelona, he had a Audi gifted to him.
That's it, Barcelona.
Right? Because they were the sponsors for Barcelona, right? And he was like, I don't want to drive this. Like, I really don't like this car. I want to drive my Ferrari, right? And then when he had a problem with Pep at one point, he decided that the way to get Pep back was to take his Enzo, I think it was an Enzo, and park it outside the stadium and just rev the hell out of it.
Oh, really? That's such a Zlatan thing to do.
But anyway, so look, it wasn't always the case that we had a lot of footballers at GVE buying cars. Right at the start, it was almost like, imagine getting one in, and then, you know, it was such a novelty to have somebody come that was like a celebrity or a footballer. And so then I spoke to you and I was like, what do we do? And so we tried to devise a plan. What was that plan?
I think it was one of the first few things that when I joined the business anyway, there was a few things we wanted to sit down and really tackle. And that was one of the main things that we wanted to hit was how do we get in with footballers? And I think it was a few meetings that we had. And I think at some points we used to sit down and go, right, here's a list of 300-400 footballers that are playing in the UK right now. Have we contacted them on Instagram, for example?
Well, that's it, because we were relatively unknown, right? And so we had to create some sort of systematic approach. So it was just like, all right, let's go for all the Premier League teams for now, and list out each of the players in them, and then contact each one by Instagram. And then it was just like, actually, what a stupid thing to do, because there's no way any Premiership footballer is going to respond back to a DM. Yeah, considering how many people probably DM them every single day.
With like a 20k follower account at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember I only had probably 400 followers at the time, and I just joined the business. And I've loved football. It's always been. I've loved watching football, and I've followed.
You support Arsenal, don't you?
Who? I've never heard of that club. Anyways, I support the real Kings of London, Tottenham, and the GOAT, Harry Kane. I messaged him back. We were back in the other unit, and I took a picture of your Speciale was parked there, and I said, love to do business, blah, blah, blah.
He blocked you.
I'm surprised he didn't, because I've looked back to the message recently, and I was like, that is so weird. I can't believe I messaged like that.
But did you say I love you at the end?
I did. I said love from your biggest fan.
XXX.
3 X's and a picture of myself. But no, it was just funny to see.
Did he respond?
Of course he didn't. No.
Okay.
But that was back then. So it was like a strategic way of doing it. So you either send a message like a fan, or you send a message like, no, you're going to help them. You're bringing value to them. And you're just saying that you sent a whole load of DMs, no one came back. But no, they are starting to come back.
Yeah. Now Harry must know who you are, right?
Yeah.
And if he thinks I'm going to message George,
he's going to see that message. No, I deleted. I thought about that already, so I deleted.
Oh, you deleted it. Okay, good.
I deleted the picture. The
That'd be awkward, right? If you send you a message, you've got 10-year-old George there with a grin and a smile.
But yeah, look, it wasn't just that.
Okay.
So then the other thing is like, okay, we tried that. Then we thought, well, maybe Premiership players are just too popular and they have too many messages coming into their inbox. So then let's try the Championship.
Yep. Championship players are also earning quite substantial amounts of money. And we're thinking, you go on Instagram and you see all the top 6 players, they're all over Instagram with their Mansories or Bentleys, Ferraris, whatever it may be. But you're thinking, who's targeting the Championship players? Even the other Football League teams and lower divisions are still earning enough money on par with our other clients.
What kind of money do they earn? I mean, on average, like top half of the Championship table, kind of,
I mean, I know some of the clubs who have come down from the Premier League, they're still on quite large. Didn't miss that, by the way. James specialty. But for the top 6 sort of teams in the Championship, they could be anywhere between sort of £25,000 down to sort of like £5,000 a week. The top earners around the 25k to 30k mark. But I know a lot of the teams have clauses where if they come down from the Premier League, they do take a massive pay cut
decrease. Yeah, and at £25,000 a week, you can easily afford pretty much all of the cars that we got downstairs.
So we had a Ferrari F8 Spider in from someone who just got promoted. I won't say his name. Just got promoted to the Championship from, it's Division 1, right? Division 1 Championship in the Premier League.
League 1, yeah.
League 1 to, you say he just came from League 1 into Championship, had a Ferrari F8 Spider, and people in the Premier League, footballers in the Premier League, are probably still questioning whether to spend that much on an F8 Spider. When I've realised that this guy is from Division 1, has at the time a £300,000 car, no questions asked, wanted to sell it, wanted to get whatever money he can because he's looking to go into a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, was when I realised, hold on a second, there's still big money in the Championship. It's not all just Premier League. Championship, Division 1, they love their cars, they love to be flash, and they love to spend money. So, and
it is a huge market when you think about it, right? At first I was like, footballers, there's only so many footballers, right? And look how big the market is for general, business owners and whatnot in comparison. So why are we trying to focus on footballers? But actually, when you look at it, you've got the A squad, like the first team, and then you got the second team,
team players,
and then people like Man City. You probably got 4 different teams, right? That where each and every one of them can probably afford all these cars, and then you got the youth squad, who are going to be the next people in the next couple of years that are going to be buying these cars. But
we said that 4 or 5 years ago. The players who were in the just coming up to the under 18s and then 21 squads, they're now 24, 25 years old, and they're either first team players or they've dropped down to division, and they're now earning And we've sent out messages and we've reached out and they've come back and said, yeah, we'll bear you guys in mind for the future.
That's great now. I mean, in comparison, right, where we were contacting all these guys, getting no responses, and now suddenly like, oh shit, I think I recognize that company. Okay, let me respond.
Yeah.
I recognize that guy. Let me respond.
But that's the strength of social media. I mean, we're killing it on social media at the moment, right? And that gives us...
Touch wood.
Yeah. But that's true. I mean, we're pumping so much energy and so much effort into social media, and we've got such a great team behind us that is, we're now reaping that benefit where footballers and sports stars are recognising the company.
Yeah. And look, ultimately...
And we're building that trust, I'm guessing.
Well, the funny thing about, you mentioned John Terry, and yes, we did a deal with John Terry some years ago. But one of the first things that he asked before we dealt with him was, listen, can I do a FaceTime with you? It's like, FaceTime? Why do you want it? And it was just because he wanted to build up that trust in us because he'd been stitched up by another dealer before.
Yeah.
And, we performed, everything went well, car was perfect. And then I think we've done some wrapping work for them as well, some paint protection work and whatnot. But
is that a thing, would you say, where footballers do get stitched up in this industry?
Oh, man, I'd say...
So trust is massive,
it was
right?
definitely a massive thing that you heard about as well.
Yeah.
Right?
The thing is, you have to put yourself in their shoes. Now, these guys are winning contracts at the age of 12, 13 with youth academies. They probably start earning money from when they're 14 or 15 years old. And then by the time they're 18, they're getting a professional contract for a massive club. They're earning enough money to be buying themselves supercars from 18 years old. Now, put yourself in an 18-year-old's mindset and you think... If you had that sort of money when you're that old, you would buy anything. I know I would. I mean, if I had that sort of money now, I'd be buying anything out there, let alone when I was 18 years old. So,
when a player's young, suddenly got a contract, suddenly got so much money, you've got all these kind of sharks around you that want some of that money, right? And so back in the day, perhaps the agent wasn't as involved, and so the footballer would be like, okay, well, I'll just rely on my mate to help me find a deal, and then they'd just get properly stitched up because they don't have the time. They're training, they're playing football, and they just don't have the time to do all the research. And then suddenly they've overpaid by like £20,000-30,000 for a car, and then they only find out when it comes to selling it. And sometimes they won't even find out because it'll be like, well, what finance payment am I on? I was paying £2,000 before, and now moving into another car, I'm going to be paying...
That's a massive one.
Yeah. Go on, sorry, just 1 second. On that note, I do remember now, I was at Aston, and this guy walked in, and he goes, listen, my best friend, he's a football player. I don't want to give him his name or anything like that, so I want to keep that to myself, so that's fine. And he goes, I want this car, but can you do me a favour? And I was like, go on. He goes, can you up the invoice by 25 grand?
Oh my God.
And that's his mate. He goes, he's a friend of mine, but can you just up the invoice by 25 grand for me, please? Like that.
I can believe that. That's one way of just making money up front. But even just you were mentioning with finance, the way these dealers, and I've heard this story through previous football clients, that they would go to a dealer, finance a car, they wouldn't know what the settlement is on the car when they want to get their next one. They're just told, okay, yeah, put in another 50 grand and your monthly payments will still stay the same. Without knowing that, hold on a second, do I need to put another 50 grand in? I put 50 grand in originally for the first car. What's the settlement for it? I'm giving the car back to you. Am I going to be getting money back towards the next car? So I'm thinking, when I was hearing that, and the guy was downstairs in the showroom, and I was like, I don't think they're looking after you there. You should really ask for your settlement. It's not a deal. And in their head, they're thinking, oh no, it's easy. I don't like the whole idea of then having to sell the car myself. I just get the car back to the dealer. They tell me how much money to put in.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate because these guys aren't so savvy enough when buying cars. They want the easy way out. They probably think we've got money. We don't need to go around shopping. We'll let someone else look after it for us. And that's when they can get taken advantage of really easily.
Yeah, agreed. And look how many times that we've had footballers come to us and say, listen, I don't want to go through the whole finance process and going through the paperwork and this. No, if it's that, then don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they love leasing cars instead as opposed to buying them because it's hassle-free. These guys are not so much global, but I'd say European based. So if you're playing within the Premier League, you're pretty much open to be moving to Italy, Germany, France, Spain, one of these countries. So you don't want to be bound and stuck to having a car in this country. So that, their idea of owning a car isn't so appealing
Yeah.
But just on that note about them getting done over, it's not just cars as well.
Really?
There's this story where, I won't say his name, but he came in and he had one of the old shape G63, so we're going back probably about 6 or 7 years. Guess how much he got charged for a satin black wrap and gloss black wheels? Just a satin black wrap, gloss black wheels, fully wrapped. And at the time, he thought it was an amazing deal.
10?
So it's a footballer premium, right?
Footballer premium.
I'm going like 12 and a half.
Yeah. 14 grand?
20 grand.
No.
He got charged 20 grand to wrap his G63
And just spray the wheels.
and spray the wheels gloss black. And I remember when I told him, because he was looking at buying a couple of cars at the time. There was 675. We were sat in there and he was test driving it. My face dropped and it was like, are you serious? You realise how much the real cost of actually doing this is.
For context, what should they be paying roughly? Like, what would be a
Let's say
modest price?
G63 full colour change, including door shuts and returns. A retail price on that car would be circa 7k. So,
Wow.
yeah, that is less. That he got charged more than double.
That's just
Nearly triple.
unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. But look, so our journey as well. So we mentioned John Terry. Actually, we work alongside a company called SWM, right? Sports World Magazine.
Yep.
And we've had a good partnership with them for many years. So they help introduce us to some of the clients because we advertise with them and whatnot. And so that was one way that we get these we've started getting these clients in, but also just the fact that we've become much more popular on social media, right? Especially your profile as well, George. And then generally, you know, all the advertising that we're doing in and around London, people are recognizing the logo straight away when they see it. And so now they're feeling more comfortable. So then suddenly we've gone from having John Terry. Who else has come in then?
From memory, I'd say the first big footballer I remember dealing with down here was Kieran Richardson at the time, where he came in. He gave us the Murcielago SV on sale or return.
Yeah.
He was a retired footballer, but he just finished at United, so you'd like to class him as
Decent footballer, yeah.
But then the real one, the one that I personally have to give credit to in terms of bringing us into the footballing world, is probably Wilfried Zaha. At the time, he was a massive, massive name. He just moved to United and then had this whole thing going with him and whatever was happening, and then moved back to Crystal Palace on a massive wage.
Yeah.
And so
And you were
massive.
desperate for him to go to Spurs.
Oh yeah, I remember having a whole conversation with him in the car at the time. And this is what was really cool. So because I love football so much and I follow it, and it was just a case of having the inside knowledge that, hold on a second, these guys are normal. He was talking about going to meet Levy, having a whole meeting about joining Spurs, but then it was a case of he didn't think he'll fit in the team with some playing as well. And I was like, that's what I would think. Like, this is how you... And he's actually rationalising how...
With all your knowledge from FIFA, yeah? That you'd be thinking... No,
I was actually a academy manager. But no, going back to it, yeah, Wolf was a pretty cool start to it. So we got in touch with him.
Send him a DM as well.
No, it wasn't a DM, actually.
Okay.
Actually, no, I did send him a DM. I did this whole DM thing back ages ago,
Really?
which was probably pointless of doing because I had
to
maybe
girls,
2 followers.
To girls or footballers?
To the girls and footballers, but yeah. I saw an orange Aventador being advertised on Auto Trader and contacted the advert. Ended up speaking to the guy and had no clue who it was, just speaking to him. He's like, yeah, cool, blah, 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 going back and forward. Normally when you call someone on Auto Trader, it takes maybe about 2 or 3 days before you get to an agreement. So it's on the 3rd day and he said, yeah, cool, I'll bring it down. And then he said that the car's not mine, by the way. I'm selling it for a friend of mine. I was like, okay. And he's like, I'll tell you when, I'll show you the V5 when I come to drop the car off. Saw the V5 and it had Wilfried Zaha's name on it. I was like, okay, I know who he is, cool. Just from the start of that, his car was in. Ended up selling that car. Ended up selling him another Aventador, wrapping his Aventador, doing a whole load of customization works to his Ghost.
Also sprayed his controllers in Crystal Palace colours.
I didn't even know you could add a PlayStation in there until I asked you, to be honest.
He was like the first real insight to how footballers live and how they buy cars and how they decide as well. So the funny story with him is that he was instant. Like if he wanted something, yep, do it, but it needs to be like today. Is the one thing that put a massive smile on his face was when he was asking the question, was like, how, I need to get this car wrapped, but I need it quick, like really quick. And I was like, listen, we need to get the guys to work overtime as long as you're happy to pay the price. He's like, that's music to my ears. If you can have it done within 24, 40 hours, do it.
Those guys didn't go to sleep that night, did they?
They didn't. And I still use that example till today with these rappers now. And I think they're probably tired of hearing this again and again and again, but they wrapped a Lamborghini Urus in a day, probably less than a day.
That is crazy.
And that wrap stayed on the car 5 or 6 years. That car came back to us and it was sold 2 times after that. That was insane. And he got that wrap done, within 48 hours.
Bloody hell. He's been a great customer, hasn't he? And what a nice guy as well. But more than that, I think he's one of those guys that had a bad experience maybe before, and then when he came to us, he was very cautious. He was like, "Look, I've been done over," And so what we normally expect from footballers is that they're going to be just really easy with their money. All right, yeah, whatever, mate, go on.
Thing is, they are
10, 20, 30, whatever. But only when they actually trust you will they be like that. But prior to that trust, they are very shrewd as well. I mean, I'm talking about some of the ones that we've dealt with are very shrewd because they want to make sure, listen, they're sizing you out. Are you good or are you not?
So with these guys, like, there was a footballer who bought a car from another dealer and his engine blew.
No way.
Engine blew. It was a Lamborghini Gallardo. And I heard about the story afterwards when he started dealing with us. And these people, the dealer's probably thinking, he's a young footballer, he's not going to care, there's no hassle, whatever, just brush him aside, whatever, he's got the money, he'll pay for it. They did that with him, and guess what? He paid for a new engine. He kept the car, he didn't complain. This was about a month into him owning it, and he said he spent 50 grand on a new engine on a Gallardo Spider, his first big car that he bought while he's contracted. And when I was saying to him afterwards, like, he realised that you had a warranty on it, there's no reason why you had to do that. He was like, I realised that, but I'm never dealing with them again. I will never buy from them again, and I'll never sell to them again. So these dealers don't have that long-term vision, thinking, hold on a second, yes, I have a chance where I can make massive amounts of money right now. I can do them over, or I don't have to look after them, whatever. It's a really easy person to deal with. But think about the amount of business you're going to be losing going forward. This guy was averaging about 3 cars a year with us, and they lost it all over just one car. It's
That's
just,
nuts.
I suppose that's something that goes hand in hand with what we do on a daily basis anyway. You know, when you say, for example, you buy a customer, he comes in, I want to buy a car, and they say, what's best for me? You're not just going to push them into the car that is best for you, it's for them, because ultimately we want to go and buy that car off them and sell it in 6 months' time.
That's it.
So it goes...
Well, we've seen with the setup that we've got, like you correctly mentioned, it's not just buying and selling a car with them. Zaha went and got a wrap done. He got exhaust.
Got exhaust, wheels. The funny one was his Rolls-Royce Ghost. And he was like, I want it completely customized. Because he had a Wraith, and I just saw him jump out from the back of a 2-door Wraith. And I was thinking, why do you have this? Why didn't you get a Wraith, or a Ghost or a Phantom? Like, it makes more sense if you're going to get chauffeured. Like,
He did not.
He's like,
sit in the back.
He sat in the back of a Wraith. That's the first time I saw him. His Aventador was here.
Where did he get driven to?
Yeah, to the showroom. So he came. He said to me,
My
he said,
child barely fits in the back of a Wraith, man.
He's like, I'm just coming. My driver's bringing me. I'll be there circa so and so. It's like, okay, cool. And I come outside and I see he literally jumped out of the back. He opened the passenger door and he's opening the passenger seat, and he's jumping out of the back of a Wraith. So, anyways, gave him some advice, saying like, he realised he can get a Ghost. It's better to get driven around in. Lo and behold, he buys a Ghost. And then he was like, what can we do to this? It's almost like he came into this vision, like, the world is yours, you can do whatever you want. So it was a project. He was like, let's stick a PS4 in there, let's put screens in, let's get Sky Tuner, can we do that? I want to do some electric sort of console in the back so we can hide all the wires. So you know how you do these V-Class conversions and you can customize it to exactly how you want? We did that, but for his Ghost. And that was quite cool. So it was literally, I think he realised and clocked onto that you can do anything you want with cars down here, and it's all done in-house. And
You must have done, did it already have Starlight headliner?
Had Starlight in there already.
And that must be quite important for footballers, right? Because they can, because of their pay bracket, they can get anything they want, and all their team players can get anything they want. So all of them can drive Uruses, and so it's quite important for them to be able to customize that
Customize it to
so
exactly
they're
how they
unique.
want.
So when they pull up to the parking lot, and they know that that's my car, and that's no one else can have one like mine.
Yeah, it's true. It's pretty insane how he customized every single car that he got, and he'd always go for like satin black. Remember this one time actually he thought he'd try and change it a bit different, and you'll go for white with gold. I think he kept it for a week.
Seriously.
And then wrapped it straight back to satin black.
Oh, I remember that.
White with the gold, and had the gold writing on the inside of the wheels.
And I'm pretty sure we spent ages. Sorry, we had to have that deadline again. We had to get it done within a couple of days. Done it all, wrapped it. Job well done. He's liked it when
Loved
he's
it
got
when he sees it, yeah.
And then he's gone to sleep, and he's woken up, and oh my god, what did I do?
I'll see if we got it on our computers, but I think we've got the photos still of the car.
Yeah, we have to. We have to.
Everyone can let us know down below what they think. But
what they think of it, yeah, exactly.
I think his reasoning behind it was he drove it out, and he goes into London a lot, and he was like, everyone just kept looking at it. He's like, a satin black car goes kind of under the radar for a supercar. That was white with a gold spoiler, gold writing, gold wheels, and he was
so
like,
cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But he asked for it at the beginning. We were going back and forth and trying to think of ideas. He loved it, but it's just they don't like the attention, I think.
I love when George has to help somebody spec their car.
Oh, I love it.
It's just the best. So I'd like some pinstripes there. I'd like to make your wheels white. I'll.
Do you know the thing is, I like it as though it's my own car. I love designing cars. It's like you're almost specking a car from new, but then the possibilities are endless. You can do whatever you want. Change wheel colours, caliper colours, do pinstripe designs, like make it one of a kind.
So Ferrari call it Attilia, McLaren MSO. What's your name for it?
The GVE touch.
No, it has to be something George.
The touch of
You've
George.
been Georged.
You've been
The
George.
touch of George.
No, you've been Georged to something else, and if you do that, you do get arrested. I found out.
Touch of George.
Can I just say, every single time we do this podcast, I'm always made out to be like this real pervert.
No.
Messed up.
No.
Oh my sadistic serial.
Nobody has said that at all. It's just the touch of George. But anyway. Look, so he is a footballer. Zaha is a footballer that loves being a little bit more flamboyant with the cars, and we've seen that he's at one stage he wants a satin black everything, one stage wants a white with gold, but not all footballers are like that, right? And
True.
me and you went and delivered to De Gea,
David De Gea, yeah,
and
massive player.
I mean, when we went, I think he might have been the most. Is he the highest paid player
Goalkeeper.
in the UK?
Highest paid goalkeeper.
Goalkeeper or player? Was
Definitely
he?
the goalkeeper. I'm not sure.
I think
about
he's
player.
definitely one of the highest earners even in the Man United squad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy. But anyway, so imagine we've met some people in our time, right? And, you get some really stuck up people. This guy was not that. Super humble. Right?
Yeah.
No, what a nice guy. And, but his key thing was, look, I like to stay under the radar. I don't want anybody knowing.
Yeah.
This, whatever.
It was pretty cool. We went there with so he bought, won't say what he bought, but it was like a super SUV that he could share within the family. He wasn't into cars, and he said that. I made it very clear from the beginning. It was actually, while we were speaking, Bruno Fernandes was negotiating for him on his behalf.
So cool. So tell us about that.
So, the intro was made, and going back and forward, he made his mind up what he wanted. But when it came to the price, it was almost like, okay, deal done. But then enters the chat Bruno Fernandes, adds on to the group, and he's like, no, hold on a second, we can do this, we can do that. And it was almost final hour, we've committed to the car because he's paid us a deposit, and he's saying, yeah, we need this car. But it's like the day before we're meant to pay for it in full and get it in, Bruno's saying, no, we need to do it for this price. You have to look after us, do it for so-and-so. And he was almost like 15 grand under what we were meant to be selling it for. Anyways, that headache was over, and David was like, yeah, don't worry, it's just done now, done deal. Did the deal. He wanted it ceramic coated, wanted it protected, agreed to deliver it to him. We go, and I thought it'd be quite nice to go and meet him.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I came with you.
Yeah.
And so we've spent, 4 hours getting there?
Yeah. James has started sweating already because he knows what happened that day.
Oh, man. 4 hours getting there.
No, it was longer than 4 hours.
Oh, maybe it was longer. Yeah, but I think we might have hit some traffic, so maybe 5 hours.
Yeah.
And we stop off at like a Sainsbury's or something like that. Sports Direct and Sainsbury's. We wanted to get a United top.
That's the one. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And we wanted to get a bottle of champagne and some stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So we stop off, and George is like, "Yeah, I think we should really get going now, right? Because we're a little bit late because we've been delayed, a little bit late." And I was like, "Look, but we can't go there without giving them something, right? So we have to give them some chocolates for the missus and champagne and flowers and this, that, and the other." And so we literally, after traveling for 5 hours, take the champagne bottle, flowers, top, and we're just about to get back into the van, and we get told, he's not going to be at the house anymore. So
he messaged himself, and he was like, "I'm just going out for dinner, but don't worry, my mum's going to be there, and she can take it."
So just
do you know what? I waited 2 minutes.
Mum, then?
No, wait, hold on. I waited 2 minutes before saying anything. I was like, let me try and convince him first, but no, one way. Anyways, the way everything was rosy on the way up there. So by this time we're in Manchester, we're in the back of a Sprinter, the converted Sprinter, and laughing and joking, getting back inside. And the stage today was like, he's not going to be there, and we unfortunately gonna have to drop it to his mum. I think he's going to be there.
And David said,
for those of you who don't know about David and his the way he reacts to things, when he's really angry, he just goes silent. And there was complete silence all the way to his house, just nothing. I'd look over and I'd think, should I say something? Just looking out the window, leg shake.
it's an Adele music video.
Oh man!
But no. Luckily,
and then I think I said to you, look, just message him and just be like, listen, we've both come the whole way, right? At least just meet us for 10 minutes. And then he actually, his response was really nice. It was like,
we said,
I didn't realise. Okay, of course, I'll meet you guys.
So we said we'll meet him at the restaurant. And then he was like, oh, you guys are going to come? Okay, don't worry. I'll finish the food and I'll come back. Just wait for me a little bit. Yeah. This is like another example of how humble this guy is. He probably has thousands, tens of thousands, if not millions of people wanting to meet him every day. And he took the time out of his busy evening to come and at least say thank you for delivering the car and so on. So that was pretty cool. He came back and his missus was there, his children were there. He loved the car, looked around it, and really nice guy.
Yeah, but again, that's an example of a guy that really doesn't want to show people. And I think we see that with a lot of footballers. I mean, you sport for Watford and then you go to all the home games and stuff, and I guess you get to see what's parked out at the front, all the footballers' cars. And what kind of cars do they have down there?
Yeah, so it's different. So obviously Watford have been up and down between Premier League, Championship. So what you used to see was that there's a car park at Watford Stadium, if anyone's familiar. It's about a half a mile walk away from the stadium. So the players actually have to walk up sort of a public road to get into the stadium. Yeah. So they usually go after the game and they come into the stadium on a coach, and then their families bring the cars. But what you see in the Championship is more like your like nice cars, but BMWs, Mercedes, cars a bit more low key. Okay. But then in the Premier League, I think there must be a stigma that you've made it as such, so you can have something a bit more extravagant.
You say that, but I think even like I support Liverpool, and when I've gone to the games in Anfield and I've seen the players driving off in their cars, it's normally the same kind of thing, like G-Wagons and just kind of 4x4s, nothing.
Yeah, I don't think even in the Championship they don't even have like G-Wagons, for example.
Really?
A lot of the teams, they're a lot more sort of even more low key than that.
Under the radar.
Is there a thing amongst footballers or sports people? Because I'm not really massive into football, in case anyone noticed, but I never see them driving like ridiculous cars, like super cars. They're always driving like David said, just SUVs. I mean, at most maybe a Urus here and there or a G-Wagon with a kit on it. But you never see them driving the Lambos or the Ferraris. Very, very rare. Is that a thing? Is that a reason?
You don't, but then you do. And this is one thing that me and you've spoken about before. You got some, like, let's say, for example, business owners are influenced by perhaps footballers, and footballers are influenced by perhaps singers and rappers and whatnot. So there's some footballers that see the bling and they want that. And I think, you know, have you dealt with anybody that's like that? That follow the rappers and they're like...
We've seen it all the time with either a case of they've seen a rapper with a certain car and they turn around and say, I want it in that colour or that body kit on there. I mean...
Just like that rapper's got.
Exactly.
Just like that rapper's
exactly.
got. Yeah.
And they see it. We heard it from a rapper who dealt with us and he's like, he's a massive Man United fan.
Of course.
And then he came and he was like, I didn't realise that I actually went to United and these football players are coming up to him and he's like, we listen to you. And he's like, hold on a second, what do you listen, like, what's going on here? I support you guys. I thought you guys are bigger than me. So to hear it from the flip side was pretty cool. But I think the reason why you probably don't see them driving the supercars per se so much, what I've heard is that their physios don't like for them to be driving sports cars so much, supercars.
Okay.
So they
That
need
makes
to
sense.
think about the amount of money, that they spend on their sports physiotherapy and making sure that these athletes who are paid up to £300,000-400,000 a week to play football and they get a bad back because they're driving a Lambo is not going to sit down very well. So
That's crazy.
the likes of Range Rovers, G63s and Urises, they're still loud and brash, but they won't do your back in.
Yeah, so actually that reminds when you got to your question about what do I see most in the car park, it's Range Rovers.
Yeah.
Like
Such
that
a
is
comfortable
the
car, isn't it?
footballer car. That is the most footballer car, and G-Wagons, like you say.
No, it makes sense. Ruben Neves, he's a good client.
We're talking about people wanting to customise the cars, the likes of Zaha customising his car. I think Ruben took it to another level.
Yeah.
He, the first deal we did with him was on an SQ7. Now, you probably think when you hear that, is an SQ7 really a footballer's car? But he needed a 7-seater, something that he can customise. Left-hand drive.
Yeah.
You can't get a 7-seater RSQ8 or an RS product, so it had to be an SQ7 that we could then customise to make it better than an RS. So I remember going back and forward on chat, and it was like, I need to do this. I need to make it look louder. It's a diesel car, but what can we do to make it louder?
Oh my God, I remember this.
Then the body kit. So to make it louder, there was a special module that was installed in the speakers.
What was that? Was there like was there a particular brand that we put in because it gave the noise of an exhaust, right?
So the body kit was apt, and then I think the I'm not sure what the name of the module
was. It Miltech?
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
But it was funny, right? Because you install that and then the sound of the exhaust comes through the speakers,
It was
right?
so funny. You had an app on your phone, and you could press what you want it to sound like. Do you want pops and bangs?
Well,
Do
you
you
can
want
choose
it
the
to
car as
sound-
well.
Yeah, no, you can't choose the car, but you can
Okay.
choose the exhaust note. Do you want a high pitch? Do you want it to pop and bang at high notes? I was thinking,
We've got a video, but we'll throw it in now over the top,
Yeah.
and it's I think maybe everyone could make their minds up, but it was interesting.
Yeah. No, look, at the end of the day.
they ask, we deliver. Like,
Yeah.
That's what you want. Yeah, we can do it. So
Was there any other cool stuff we done to that car? So we put the
Wrapped
body kit on. That looks so cool.
Apple iPads installed into the back with the charging cables wired in. The speakers then attached to, the speakers would also connect to the iPad through the wires. That was pretty cool. And then stands built into the headrest, so it looks like an actual factory fit.
Wow.
Then we, did the standard PS5 in there as well. Redid some of the interior where he wanted red instead of the black. Upgraded wheels, body kit.
We had to get that car from Europe, didn't we?
Yes.
Because we looked everywhere down here for a left-hand drive car. It was virtually impossible. So we had to go out all the way to
Germany
just to buy that car.
So it comes back to left-hand drive and footballers as well. I think it's probably worth mentioning that footballers, especially European players, love left-hand drive cars because they don't want to stick. Once again, they don't want to feel like they're tied down to the UK.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, it's public news. Ruben is no longer in the Premier League and he's gone to Saudi, but he can now easily take the cars he's bought from us that are left-hand drive over to Portugal where he lives, or take it to Saudi if he wants to. So, that's why we had to get left-hand drive for the SQ7. Like you're saying, it was hard to get. Got it from Germany, but fully modified it over there. He wasn't as sort of picky with the timings. He was almost like, listen, just take your time, but just make sure I want it everything like customized perfectly. So that was a pretty cool project.
And then he's gone and bought a few more cars off us.
He wanted a left-hand drive AMG GTR I think it was a black series at the time, and we're looking at it, and this is after Brexit, so left-hand drive wasn't so cheap to bring. We had to then pay taxes duties when you bring it back into the UK, and I was trying to explain to him. Remember this conversation, it was in a group and you were in it. It was at midnight. I vividly remember the moment talking about it and was like, trust me, go right-hand drive on this. You're going to be paying so much more. Within the space of minutes, bank details sent. He sent money over for a GTR Pro.
That's so
And
cool.
literally, that is the definition of building trust, that you've done one, really happy with it, sent the full money for a car, and then talking about customizing. It's like, this is my dream car. I want it in red. I want the tail lights change color. I want the interior redone. I want exhaust upgraded. I want power upgraded. What else can we do to it? I want to go crazy.
What else can we? I love that question. What else can we do to it?
But that's why you get excited when you try and spec these cars with them, because it's almost like, listen, anything you can dream of, we can make it happen. So let's do this. Let's spec the tail lights. Let's the finer details, the Mercedes badge on the center caps. You can change the silver to the red to match the wrap. Change the badges. Change the AMG sills where it's carbon illuminated underneath. But how about you change the lighting of the illumination so it illuminates red?
So you can sort of live your dream through theirs in
Exactly.
a way that I've always wanted to do this. I think you should do this. And
It might not be something that I like. That's my taste. But if red's your color, then let's do this. Let's do that. Yeah.
I actually remembered this night because it was a Sunday night and it was about 9 p.m. You know, I'm sort of settling down, ready for Monday, the new week.
Midnight.
And probably more like midnight. And George messages me on WhatsApp and he goes, just need a quick favour. Got Ruben Neves, get me all excited. Got a footballer laying the plan down. He goes, do you mind just making a very quick brochure with every option that we can possibly do to this SQ7
At midnight?
At midnight that night? And I think it was like a 10-page brochure. And I think Ruben's
Custom
like,
made.
I want all of that and
Take
and
it
more.
all.
Yeah, tick all of the boxes.
Yeah.
We are starting to get footballers coming to us, but is it a case of, these guys go into the changing room and then they're talking to one another? Now, suddenly we've sold Neves a car. Would he have then gone into the changing room and then started speaking to people? Because I remember, did he play in the World Cup and he was messaging you
That
or
was
something?
insane. It was, so he's plays for Portugal, and it was just before the match was starting. I get a message, and it's like Christmas. Let's say the World Cup was in the winter at the time. He's like, I need to get my missus a Christmas present. I checked my phone. I was like, is this right? I'm watching Portugal's on TV. They're about to play in about an hour, and he's messaging. And I was like, is this a thought that's going through his head just about to play a game? They won, by the way. So it's he did play. He
It's a
played
good
good.
thought.
He played good. Yeah. He is incentivizing himself to score a goal. But anyways, messaged about buying a G63 for his missus for Christmas. Anyways, did the deal, sold him a G63, he fully customized it. Then he talks to his teammates, either they talk in the changing rooms or they see it at the training ground. And we had his teammate Nelson Semedo, who messaged and said, listen, I've seen that G63 that you guys have done for Ruben. It looks insane. We wrapped it in like this pearlescent white, did like nice little contrast red touches because it had a red interior. And he's like, I love that. I've got a G63. I brought it from Portugal, but I really want to just make it something different. Started going back and forth with ideas about body kits, and in the end, stuck a full body kit, upgraded exhaust, upgraded wheels, wrapped the whole car.
Nice.
And that was all through word of mouth. So that's one example of word of mouth. And then we were talking about the likes of Wilf. When Wilf came in, we ended up dealing with straight away Connor Wickham. Wilf's driver was also friends with Aaron Wan-Bissaka's driver. So Aaron Wan-Bissaka played for Crystal Palace, but then moved to Man United. And then Wilf's driver rang and said, listen, I've got another big player, blah, blah, blah. He wants to get a V-Class, a fully customized V-Class. Is this something you can do? And I said, yeah, of course we can. Lo and behold, it's Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's one of the top right backs in the league, just joined Man United. And it's all come through word of mouth. So I think that is another big thing with these players as well. They want to get work done based on trust, and it all comes back down to that one thing, trust.
Trust, yeah.
So if they know their teammates done it and they can visually see it themselves, like, hold on a second, that is amazing.
Yeah.
With Wilf as
and
cars.
that we've not overcharged them. Look, at the end of the day, all this stuff that we're doing at sensible prices that we'd be doing for other people if they don't get the footballer tax as such, right?
Yeah.
And we're bending over backwards and making sure that we hit the deadlines that they give us. And ultimately, why? We're doing it all for the same reason, which is we want them to keep on dealing with us. We want them to sell that car back to us. We want them to feel like, okay, they actually didn't do me over. They done me a good deal. I want to buy my next car off them. I want to tell all my teammates to buy cars off them. Oh, they done an amazing wrap all that kind of stuff. I think it's just we're not short-term thinkers, basically.
100%.
What I'm saying. Yeah.
It is long-term. And I think it's not just for our benefit as well. When these guys go to their teammates and they'll be like, yeah, these guys really looked after me. If they feel like they're helping their teammate to choose a car and it actually comes through, they're not winning brownie points. They're being a good friend.
Yes.
It's like, Holden,
Everybody likes recommending something to somebody else.
Exactly.
If I've gone to a wicked restaurant tonight, I'm going to be coming in tomorrow and saying, guys, you need to go and check out this restaurant.
If we have an amazing experience, they will always remember you. Be like, hold on, David recommended that place. Yeah.
Agreed.
It's not just cars that they do as well. They also deal a lot with Bagista. Has some big name players there.
Yeah, so like if our viewers don't know, but I'm also a partner in Bagista, where we buy and sell designer handbags. And similar kind of scenario, we've got a good relationship with SWM, and we get put in touch with a fair few footballers for the handbags, and that's going really well with us. Every week we're selling to different footballers, and the better thing there for Bagista is, in comparison to GVE, is, let's say for example we've got a nice 458 Speciale downstairs. Somebody in Italy is not really going to want that because that's a right-hand drive car. Whereas an Hermes Birkin will get that Birkin from Bagista down to, Milan and deliver it to the, AC Milan player, and deliver it, boom, done.
I think a big thing that we learned as well is there's a case of mutual respect. So the way we respect them for their footballing talents, they have that respect back to us that, yes, we know what we're talking about when it comes to cars. We're specialists in getting work done to their cars, and they appreciate that and they respect it. And you can actually see it when they pass it on with word of mouth and repetitive business. So, yeah.
And I think it's nice for them when they come to our dealership, because I've seen loads of footballers downstairs, and they brush shoulders with normal clients, and our normal clients are, that are business owners or that work, they brush shoulders with footballers, and everyone's mixing, and we treat everyone the same. Yeah, and I think that's a massive thing with us, and because we've got so much experience dealing with these celebrities and these sports people, it's like it's we don't hound them, we don't treat them any differently, or we just treat them like normal clients, and I think they respect that. I think that's because I bet when they go, 95% of the places they go to, whether it be restaurants or other car dealers or shopping,
everybody wants better.
Yeah, it's just they must get hounded. It must be awful for them. Yeah, it just must be nice to come. It's a breath of fresh air.
Must be so awful on that 30 grand a week salary, 50 grand a week salary, and no, I'm just joking. Anyway, okay, I think that pretty much sums up our experience dealing with footballers. I hope you guys like this episode, and if you do, please do like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, see you later.